So we just talked about the fact that Republicans can no longer be treated like a legitimate political party. They're not. They're a criminal organization. Um, they're also fascist. Ron DeSantis has been attacking trans people. In fact, Republicans all around the world have been, all around the country, have been attacking trans people, and conservatives all around the world. That's any minority is somebody they'll go after. But in the U.S., actual authoritarian fascist laws have been put in place. We do need federal rules put in place that undo all of these nonsense state laws. That will have to come in 2024. We need a House, Senate, and White House, and some emergency action taken to protect trans people, as well as people who can have children, people who can get pregnant. But we are fortunately not alone in this world. There are other countries who are going through similar things, including similar issues with labor. And we can use them as a template for what we can do. We don't have to pioneer all this. No. There's, in fact, a country which the United States has a lot of historical ties to. Our fight for freedom, which the U.S. has yet to win, but it's been fought alongside this country. It's France. And right now, they should be an inspiration to us. Here's Thom Hartmann talking about it.
France. This just, breaking news out of France. Nicolas Sarkozy, the former president, he was president from 2007 to 2012. He just lost his case today against a 2021 conviction for corruption and influence peddling. He got a 3-year sentence with 2 years suspended. He has to wear an electronic bracelet. Again, this is the president of France, or the former president of France. They found that he and his former lawyer, a fellow by the name of Herzog, had formed a corruption pact with a judge by the name of Azibert to obtain and share information about a legal investigation they were concerned about. And get this, the way that they busted him, the French version of the FBI actually wiretapped the president while he was the president because they thought he was committing a crime. Where was our FBI when Donald Trump was in office? Sarkozy's going to jail for things that he did illegally. In fact, he had a third unofficial phone line that was taken out under the name of Paul Bismuth. And when the French FBI, or variation on the FBI, found out about it, they wiretapped it. Why does this guy have this secret phone line? He's also looking at another year in prison on a completely separate case that had to do with his getting money from Libya for that 2007.
Well, that was awkward. Before he goes on to the Libya thing, note that Sarkozy, I'm trying to be more general. This involved the politician, the politician's lawyer, and a judge in conspiracy together. We should really remember this because I'll tell you, if it turns out Donald Trump has contacted any of the judges who have ruled in any of his many, many court cases inappropriately, particularly, ones he appointed and he thinks owe him, and that judge didn't disclose that fact and ruled in Trump's favor, we should look at opening another case. And by the way, get the law enforcement in the United States real familiar with the idea that no matter what they do, they're going to be screamed at by MAGA. I don't believe that law enforcement, I don't believe they have any illusions about that. However, They seem to use the fact that Republicans, conservatives, will have a problem with it as an excuse. They say, if we do this, voters, the American people, they'll say, meaning conservatives, will have a problem with it. We need to make it clear that we will have a problem. Decent people will have a problem with them failing to go after criminals. Just saying. All right, what's this other
election
case?
campaign. So keep an eye on this, number one. But more importantly, hey, if France can do it, we can do it, right? Put a previous president in jail, no problem. And then have him wear an ankle bracelet the rest of the time.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Ron DeSantis, I mentioned this in the first hour that I would tell you about this. This is just an absolutely breathtaking story that David Sirota's publication, levernews.com, broke. And the essence of the story is that Ron DeSantis is running a scheme where he takes pension funds. Now, these are firefighters, teachers, police officers, other government employees in Florida. Their money goes into a pension fund, and that pension fund is supposed to invest that money and put it in good investments. So, for example, over the last, if you were to have put money into the Standard & Poor's 500 index, right? Just buy an index fund. They don't even have significant fees. Back in 2019, if you had bought that, you would have made 15.7% interest, or profit, or whatever you want to call it. Your wealth would have grown by 15% between then and now, in the 4 years since then. But instead, DeSantis put it into a management fund called Aeolus Capital Management, and it has returned a 0.7% return. Now, of course, these hedge funds, they take a whole pile of money off the top in fees and commissions and things, which is where a lot of that money from the pension funds in Florida is going. It's going right into the pockets of the guys who own these funds. And in fact, this fund is in part owned by a guy by the name of Paul Singer, who also owns Elliott Management. He's the CEO, co-CEO of that. But this is, based in Bermuda. And Singer hosted a 2021 Colorado meeting of elite conservative billionaires called the American Opportunity Alliance, where DeSantis appeared. And the following year, Singer pumped $750,000 into the Republican Governors Association. 3 weeks after that, the Republican Governors Association transferred $2 million into Ron DeSantis' super PAC. And they go through 4 or 5 or 6 of these different hedge funds in New York that are producing crappy returns for the state of Florida, but DeSantis keeps giving them more and more of the retirees' money.
Dang it, he's going to wrap up soon. Let's just let him keep going.
Because they're recycling this money back to DeSantis. Now, it's illegal for them to give it directly to DeSantis. So what they're doing is they're giving it to the Republican Governors Association, and then a week later, the RGA writes a check to the DeSantis super PAC. It's another example of how DeSantis has corrupted Florida. It's another example of my original premise when I opened the show today, that these guys are just corrupt. Corruption is now officially the Republican Party's brand. It's what they live for. It's how they roll. It's what they do.
Saying more of the same. This is what Republicans are now. We need to make this amongst the culture. We need to make this the standard point. One thing I'd like y'all to start doing is pay attention to how informed the person you're talking to is and adjust your message for that level of information. You guys are highly informed. So, yeah, it'll be helpful if you make a case at this level. You understand the ins and outs and all of that. That's great. But who are you going to be talking to? Who is this informed and still on the side of Republicans? No one. No one. Our dark opposites are people that have their heads full of conspiracy nonsense. And to us, it seems like that must be those 70 million people that voted for Trump. However many million, 74, I don't know. Those are the people we're arguing with. So we think that's everybody. That's not. 9 out of 10 of those people that voted for Trump, they watch Fox News a couple of nights a week. They have no idea what is going on around them. A lot of those people that voted for Trump, they vote conservative. Yes, they believe Trump in the broad strokes. Maybe they don't believe everything, but they, the general spiel. They think he's there to help conservatives. Just make it clear. Tailor your message for their level of education on these matters. Somebody is a casual voter. They don't really pay attention to politics most of the time. Tell them the truth, but in the broad strokes. The Republican Party is a criminal organization. That's what they've become. The Republican Party is a group of the grossest human beings currently in existence in this era. They are nothing but that. Scandal after scandal, crime after crime. They accuse Democrats all the time of these things, but they can never prove them in court. These things rarely get to court when Republicans are the ones who are genuinely doing things. But when they do, it's a conviction. Go at it from that angle. Broad strokes. What can we learn from France? We can learn that it is possible, that the sun still rises after a former leader is convicted. It also helps, by the way, if it's not a surprise, if these things are telegraphed, and we're going to talk about that right now, because Fani Willis is coming.